Hello guys, and
Hi.
here we are today with WagonR 2015. Right, this is the first time I'm driving a WagonR. I've been in the back seat of many WagonRs. I know Ashraaq what you're thinking, but no, it was just for travel.
Well, when I show you later, you'll see that the WagonR's back seat is quite adaptable, man.
Exactly, and I'm super excited to be driving this car because this is my good friend Ashraaq's wife's car. We got Zara in the back seat and also another passenger with us, a junior passenger, Rahil over there. He's sitting comfortably there and not bothering us at all, Ashraaq.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, I think he's about to start. So Ashraaq, this car has got a 660cc engine.
Yep, 3 cylinders.
Yes, 3 cylinders and again front wheel drive. Ashraaq, I think in Sri Lanka this car is quite popular for its fuel efficiency rating and the numbers that it does.
Well, that is true, Mahen, but I should also point out that fuel efficiency comes at a great expense, and that is annoying everyone else on the road. That's why the WagonR has such a bad rep, and because people drive them like they're the only person on the road, and naturally, if you drive this car like you would in Japan, where everyone's disciplined and people don't cut into lanes or suddenly do stops and stuff, you can get really good fuel efficiency. I mean, we've driven to Jaffna and back in this car, and we have got 20 kilometers per liter, and that's well, right now you would see the AC is on maximum temperature, it's on low, in fact, and the fan is and stuff, so we don't skimp on the comforts, but thing is, if you go and skimp on the comforts, you can easily get about 17, 18 in Colombo, but you will be going really slowly, pissing everyone off and sweating buckets. And I think you would have noticed, Mahin, when you go in the pick-me's, you always have to tell them to turn the AC up.
That is true, that is true. That's what I find really annoying, Ashraaq, because if you want to travel in comfort, you need to have your AC up.
Because actually this car is capable of giving up to 30 kilometers per liter with the AC off. I have verified that figure briefly once.
Really?
With the AC off at about 70 kilometers per hour.
Wow.
So that's a very tight band there, Mahin.
No,
you need to be going with the AC off at 70 kilometers per hour with your windows up, because of course the windows up helps aerodynamics and keeps your fuel efficiency as good as possible. So not in Sri Lanka, I would think.
That is true, Ashraaq, but during the petrol crisis we had in the country, this would have been a real boon in the portfolio.
Yes, actually even now this is our main car. I mean, Zara and my fuel bills are basically pretty much the same, even though this car does double the mileage of what my N16 does.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, I'm getting about 6.5 these days in the N16 because of two reasons. One is it needs a tune-up.
Yes.
Two is because I'm not concerned about fuel economy when I drive.
Yes.
But this is giving us on average about 13. Now you'd see in the meter cluster there it says 11.3. There's a good reason for that. That's because as you can see, when we have Rahil in the car happily in his car seat, what happens there is when he falls asleep, we have to keep the car running, AC and everything stationary until he wakes up, which can sometimes be for as much as 45 minutes.
Wow, oh my gosh.
So the fuel economy takes a hit because of that too. Same with the N16.
Yeah, I can imagine. So basically, Ashraaq, now in terms of how many miles this car has run, how many actually kilometers has this car run?
Well, actually, it's I think probably one of the lower mileage 2015 WagonRs here. We are looking at around, I'm just going to reach over and check the meter right there, because I know it's in the 50,000s, 56,291.
Oh, wow. That's quite low for a WagonR in Sri Lanka, I guess.
Yeah, because we got it in 2016 actually. It was just 1 year old. Zara is the first owner of the car. First owner car, she saw it, she drove it, she liked it, and we picked it up with 4,000 kilometers on the clock. So,
nice. And the other thing to note, Ashraaq, is the practicality of this car, right? I mean, you have a baby in the back, you do your traveling as well, and I heard that even space in the back, especially with the folding seats, becomes quite effective for a family of 4.
That's true, Mahen, because you can both rear seats can be slid back and forward to adjust the cargo space, of course, and you can flip the seats down as well. It's a 50-50 split there,
right?
So you can flip them down and carry stuff, and even this front seat which I'm sitting on can also be flipped forward.
Okay.
So when we were moving house, I mean, we got this car a little before we got married, so when moving house we had both cars basically doing moving duties for us, and I carried a 6-foot bookshelf in this car simply by flipping the front seat down as well and having it extending through, and I didn't need to keep the boot open.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so basically you can, I think roughly you can carry something 6 feet in length, 2.5 feet in height this way, when you flip the front seat down.
I see.
And as I'll be showing you also, Mahen, there are quite a few little nice little touches in this car. Like for example, beneath my seat, there is a little storage compartment which they say is sized to hold a bottle of wine. And yes, I can confirm it can hold about 2 bottles of wine there.
Wow.
But it also can hold plenty of those, you know, when you go to, like we go to Candy a lot and her mom always gives us so much food to take back and things.
Yeah.
You can put quite a few of those famous 1 liter ice cream containers that we use for restoring food, Mahen.
Yeah.
You can put about 4 or 5 of those in that compartment.
Wow, that's awesome. And like you said, Ashraaq, there's plenty of space in here, and if you look at the headroom, like it's crazy. Any reason why you feel, Ashraaq, this much of headroom is given in this car?
Well, you see, the thing is, this belongs to the Japanese category called KEI cars, which means that you have the length and the width are constrained. Length cannot be more than 3.4 meters, width cannot be more than 1.5 meters. But here's the kicker, Mahen. The height, there is no restriction. So what they do is they make the car taller so that tall people can fit and gives a sense of spaciousness. I'm sure you're feeling that now.
No, I definitely am, Ashraaq. And we got Zara in the back. I think, Zara, this is probably the first time you're traveling in the back, or is it not?
Not at all. She's going in the back several times, especially when Rahil was much younger and you know he was too young for us to put him alone in the back in the car seat.
I see.
Either she or me would be in the back then.
Okay. So, I mean, Zara, you've been driving this car for a while. What are your thoughts on this car?
It's quite easy to drive and park.
Right.
And even if you get stuck in a muddy place, you can push it yourself.
They did once on a girl's trip.
Because it's lightweight.
Yeah, it's very light.
Right.
So
wow.
It's quite convenient actually.
That's awesome. And it's automatic as well.
Yeah, automatic. And it's quite used to rough and tumble actually.
Oh, right.
You can.
That's awesome. And especially with a baby in the back, I think this car becomes, part of the family very quickly, right, Ashraaq? I mean,
it has. I mean, we've gone to the southernmost part of Sri Lanka and the northernmost part of Sri Lanka in this car. We've gone to Trincomalee, we've gone to Nuwara. This car has literally traveled across the country.
So some people might have questions about its ability with a smaller engine to travel, up country, climbing hills, etc. What
I do is I just put the sport mode and rev the crap out of the engine.
Right. So
which it does take in its stride. I mean, you just got to know. But the other thing with this car is, Mahen, conservation of momentum. You've got to really, maintain your momentum.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's another point that I must talk about in this car. It's really easy, for example, on those outstation roads where you have many single lines that you cannot cross. This car is narrow enough that if the road is wide enough and there's like a bike or a 3-wheel properly keeping to their side, which does happen outstation amazingly, you can overtake them without needing to cut the line. And you can't do that in a bigger car. I can't do that in my N16. No chance in the Verada or anything bigger. So you can actually make good progress outstation simply because you can legally overtake in places where others can't.
I agree, Ashraaq. And like Zara was saying, I think in terms of parking, in terms of overall practicality, especially considering the traffic in the city, this car really kind of helps everyone out, I guess.
Yeah, it does, Mahen. It does. I mean, it's definitely a boon to have. Pity about the reputation it's got. Like once again, I said the people who drive it. I mean, and I'm going to put a public announcement out there. If you are unable to drive your WagonR quickly, please at least drive it on a side. Because you give the rest of us a bad name, basically. And you can actually get decent fuel economy if you like. There have been actually times, Mahen, I've noticed when I've been driving slowly and sedately. I've actually gotten less fuel economy then than when I've been driving a little normally or even a little quicker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually, because I suppose it's like you get up to speed quicker and then you maintain that momentum, and then when you brake a little harder, the battery captures more energy back into it through the regenerative braking. And then there's more energy for it to assist, because the hybrid system in this is not a full hybrid system. It's basically a mild hybrid, which means that it just gives you a little assist in torque when you need it. And I think in this car, it happens between 2 and 3,000 RPMs.
Okay, I see.
So sometimes, like right now, even you're doing it, I can see the 2 arrows on the little information display there. When you accelerate a little bit, you'll see the arrows showing power going to the wheel from the battery and from the motor as well, like especially when you gently accelerate, like in traffic and stuff like that. So that's how the system in this car works.
That's interesting. And even the AC is quite good, Ashraaq.
Oh, that's not that good, Mahen. Today it's a nice day, that's why it's like this. But it's one of the things we actually have with this car, isn't it, Zara? The AC.
Yeah, it's big. It's hot. It like doesn't heat
Oh,
cool
really?
as much. Yeah.
So is it something to do with the AC gas or something? Or
Nope, I mean the whole system has been checked. It's even
Right.
got a new condenser on it.
okay.
Compressor is fine, gas levels are fine, no leaks, everything's fine. But I guess it's just not
Oh.
rated for
Oh, is
our
it?
kind of heat probably.
Oh, so I think we've been driving on a very nice cool morning, nice Saturday morning. So that's why I'm not feeling the discomfort that you were speaking of, Ashraaq and
Yeah, I mean sometimes it can get quite annoying, and I know that I've seen in Japan there is an accessory for the Spacia, which is
right.
another KEI car with the same engine, but it's more like a van kind of thing where you can
Right.
actually fit a roof-mounted second AC unit.
Yeah.
Sadly, I don't think that's available or
Okay.
compatible for the WagonR. I would have definitely gotten that.
Oh man, yeah, that's a little tough in Sri Lanka, especially with the warm climate that you have these days. If your AC isn't able to kind of keep you cool enough, that becomes a bit of a problem, right, Ashraaq?
That is true, and I mean, another interesting fact, Mahen, this is a WagonR FZ. There is the WagonR Stingray from this generation, which has a different front face and more options like cruise control and things.
Yeah.
But when we bought this car, I subsequently noticed that it had two options which I haven't really seen on the FZ that much.
Okay.
One is the heated driver seat. Once
Right.
again, utterly
Oh.
useless. I only used it
Yeah.
once or twice in Australia.
Yeah.
Other one is that it actually has HID headlamps. It doesn't have the normal halogens. It
I see.
has the discharge lamps. So
I see.
the headlamps, even though they look like the normal lights on FZ, when you switch them on, they're actually white, not yellow.
Okay, I see. Interesting.
So yeah, I mean, this car came with two of those interesting options, and we weren't told about it. So I'm guessing the car sale guy didn't know about it either.
Yeah.
Which is good. He would have probably jacked up the price if he knew about it.
That is true.
But yeah, I mean, so in a way, yeah, it's an interesting spec.
Yeah.
Color, of course, you can see it's the most common color you get, and
Yeah.
that's why I was easily able to get this, Mahen, the little model of the WagonR. I
It's very sweet.
gave this to Zara on her first birthday after we got married. This wasn't the only present I gave her. I'm
Yeah.
not that, could have given my wife only a model car for her birthday, but
Yeah, very sweet, Ashraaq. Very
yeah, and it's really lucky to find. I mean, because there is no model. I haven't been able to find a model of your Verada. I haven't
Yeah.
found a model of my N16. So yeah, there is. It's not easy to find model cars of the cars that you drive.
That is true, Ashraaq. Anyway, and thank you for the model car you got me for my birthday, Ashraaq. I'm looking
Oh yeah,
forward
I'm
to
sure you'll
unboxing.
enjoy it, and I know you have a soft spot for three-door classic off-roaders.
Yes,
So
I do. Really appreciate it.
I hope I haven't now planted a seed that will lead you into
no.
financial ruin. But then again,
no chance.
those are not financially ruinous cars.
Yeah, I agree. So cool.
How are you
Ashraaq.
enjoying your drive, Mahen?
Yeah, no, it's really nice. I'm enjoying this armrest over here.
Oh, I
It's
should
very
also name this
practical.
armrest. Actually, it's a flip-up armrest,
Yeah.
and we are sitting on a bench seat. So
Yeah.
that's another really useful thing about this car. If you
Yeah.
park it flat against the wall, you can just flip the armrest up, and then both people in the front
Oh.
seat can slide out from the same side. I mean, at home, that's what I do in the garage too,
Oh, right.
for maximum space.
That's awesome.
Park it against the wall, and then just get out from the passenger door.
That's awesome. Man.
Yeah, I mean, the Japanese have a lot of little
Very thoughtful.
tips, yeah, thoughtful things, and that's why I was actually reading this morning. I mean, today is the 28th of December when we are doing this, and I think we forgot to say Happy New Year, because this is our Happy New Year video, isn't
No,
it?
that is true. That is true.
So,
A
Happy
very
New Year 2025.
Yeah.
But today what I was reading is that one of the previous, I think the immediate past chairman of Suzuki Motor Corporation, and yes, his name is Mr. Suzuki, has passed away.
Oh no.
94 years old, not bad, eh?
Yeah.
But apparently he was the chairman until well into his 80s.
Okay.
An interesting fact, he wasn't part of the Suzuki family, he married into the Suzuki
Oh,
family.
really?
And apparently in Japanese, one of the articles said in Japanese old business tradition or something like, if there is no son, the son-in-law gets the business or something like that,
Oh.
some Japanese tradition thing. So
Right.
basically, he married into the Suzuki family, he got the business, he was chairman, and then I think he handed it over to his son after
Wow.
that.
Very interesting, Ashraaq. Thanks for sharing fun facts today. I mean, usually it's me. who
Usually
shares-
it's fun facts with mine.
Very good.
I mean, not
Thank
really a
you.
fun fact per se, a little bit of a
Well,
sad fact,
yes,
I guess.
yes,
But
I mean, yes.
also,
Right.
interestingly, I think Suzuki is one of the, I don't know if it's the only Japanese manufacturer where the chairman still has the name of the motor company, i.e. the person who, or relative of the person who founded it. So yeah,
True,
I mean,
true. How about Pagani?
Oh yeah, it's not Japanese Mahen. And
That is true.
Pagani is also quite
Yeah.
young actually as a company. I think they're
Yeah,
about
yeah,
30
fair
years
enough.
only.
Fair enough. Okay, Ashraaq, I'm going to now let you to drive. Okay, so now Ashraaq is behind the wheel of the Suzuki WagonR.
Yeah, it's a very familiar experience to me. I think of those 50,000 kilometers, I would have put about half of it on this car. Actually, no, I think she has put more on it than me. But I mean, yeah, it's quite a relaxing thing to drive. If I had to be extremely critical, I'd say more power would be nice.
Yeah.
But then you know that
You can't
me,
expect that, Ashraaq, from a car like this.
Well, I have considered. I mean, it is possible to do a lot of turbocharging mods and all that, but like I said, it's not my car, and my wife is sitting right in the back seat, so I can't do anything.
No, it would be interesting to look at it this way, Ashraaq. What if you modify this in a way that you put a very powerful engine and maybe like some off-road tires, etc. You know, go a little
Well, I
crazy.
mean, you get a turbocharged variant of this engine because this model did come with a turbocharged engine, and
Yeah.
it also did come with four-wheel drive in Japan.
Oh, really?
Actually, a lot of K cars in Japan, Mahen, have a four-wheel drive option. Like, well, they did. Now it's not so much,
Right.
but they did. Like, even this generation of WagonR did come with a four-wheel drive option
I see.
and turbocharged engine.
I see.
So I mean that would have been nice. I've heard that there are about 3 or 4 turbocharged variants of this particular one
Okay.
with the hybrid system
In Sri Lanka?
in Sri Lanka, but I'm not so sure about the 4-wheel drive, whether there are
Okay.
any of those here.
Okay.
Because the reason they did that in Japan is because well, Japan gets very heavy snowfall and you know it's
figured.
so because of that for traction they offered 4-wheel drive variants as well.
Right.
But yeah, otherwise I mean it's all about conservation of momentum, and suspension you would have noticed is fairly comfortable, isn't
Yes.
it?
No, it is, Ashraaq.
Because when it corners, you get a bit of body roll and all. I mean, Zara knows.
I was going to ask now, when you travel on the highway, Ashraaq, usually cars with smaller tires, you feel the steering start to vibrate after you like cross maybe 90 or 100 miles per hour or kilometers per hour. What's your take on that?
Well, I mean,
this
the
car?
thing is, I guess you just gotta keep. I mean, this car is okay. We've taken it on the highway. It goes to Kandy every month and it goes on the Kurunagala highway.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, 100, 105, 110, it's okay. The few things to remember is just make sure your tires are in good order,
Yeah.
your alignment is on point,
Yeah.
and your tire pressures too.
Yeah.
I mean, I've noticed subtle but noticeable differences in the handling when say the front tires are a bit low on here compared to when they have the like well I put 33 psi at the front.
Right.
Recommended is actually I believe 36 at the front, 34
really?
at the rear, but I run 33 at the front and 30 at the rear because our roads are not Japanese roads.
Yeah.
But if the fronts have dipped to say 28 or below, I can feel it through the steering in the handling that is on the highway.
Yeah.
So yeah, tire pressure is important and also it affects your fuel economy.
Yes.
And the other thing is, I mean, you know, these cars are not meant to speed on the highway per se, so yeah, just keep it at around 90, 95. I mean, the most efficient speed of this is actually 80, but you know, 80 is not exactly going to fly on our highways.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah, 100 is doable.
Mm.
Just that, yeah, the the sound is apparent. Wind
Yes.
noise is also apparent because of the height of the vehicle, but
Yes.
yeah, you can do highway trips in this car.
That's awesome.
Perfectly fine. And you just got to also be aware of things like, okay, when you're going near a big vehicle, don't
Yeah.
go too close, otherwise the wind effect from them will affect you. And
Yeah. It's like a vacuum.
yeah, and the other thing you notice, mine is because of the lightweight, this car is 800 kilos unladen weight. The crosswind factor, especially
Yeah.
on the Kurunagala and sometimes on the southern,
I can imagine.
crosswinds do affect
Oh.
the handling of this car a
Oh.
bit more. Like you can feel it drift
Okay, it's
slightly in
tall
the lane,
also.
yeah, because of the height. So
Yeah.
that's something to be aware of, but it's nothing to be scared of.
Yeah.
Just stay calm and just adjust the trajectory. A lot of times, I mean, I don't think anyone else even notices when the vehicle has gotten blown a little bit because you just you just gotta recognize it coming and
That's true.
do the needful. I can actually put a U-turn up ahead.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Now I should also talk about one of the most sticky topics, Mahen, which is the issues. I mean, this model does have a few issues, and these are discussed issues as well, which people have commented on in forums. And
Yeah.
for this car, the most significant issue is the engine, the main belt tensioner.
Ah.
Now that is something which we have replaced on this car twice, Zara, or thrice? When did you have to pay? How much do you remember? How many times you had to pay over 50,000 rupees for a repair?
Twice.
Yeah, about
Yeah,
twice.
twice.
And yeah, so that's basically how much it'll run you. At least 50,000 rupees, if not more. But the thing is, when the tensioner goes, it takes the belt with it. That's the belt that runs everything from your alternator to everything else.
The
So
drive belt.
not the
No?
like the main belt, not
Right.
the drive belt.
Okay.
Technically, the drive belt is technically what's in the CVT of this car. So we're talking about the main engine belt. It'll basically takes out the belt, which means the alternator doesn't charge the battery. Means you get a whole bunch of warning lights, and then your battery runs out. Then well, basically, it's quite a. It's basically a fault that can leave the car immobile. It has stranded us twice. Once I was able to limp the car to a garage on the battery before it died. Second time I couldn't. I had to call a car carrier and get the car carried on a. That was on a Friday night, mind you, when we were just going out for dinner and we were dressed up and also. Thankfully, I dropped her at her uncle's place and I bore the brunt of it, getting grease all over myself and all that. So I mean, in that sense, this car has never let us down on an outstation trip, but it has let us down twice in Colombo. And I should say, I feel it's quite poor of Suzuki to have a fault like that in a car and not issue a manufacturer recall or whatever. Because it's not an insignificant fault, right? The cost factor plus the hassle.
Safety also, right?
Yeah.
Don't know where it'll stop.
That's the thing, but you can tell like there's like a noise that comes when the tensioner is going to go. So now I'm always like paranoid listening out for that noise, especially when we're out of Colombo or whatever, seeing whether it's coming or not, you know, and like I try to preempt it, but then again you also know that when that comes you're having an expensive repair bill coming. Common factor with WagonR, Spacias, Hustlers from that era with this engine. The newer one has a dual belt tensioner design which doesn't have the fault, which I think is good because for that one tensioners cost about 80,000 because there are two of them.
Right. Interesting.
So that's one thing. The other thing is this car, the brake pads, they last about 10 to 15,000 kilometers at the front because, well, if you drive it properly, you're going to be braking also, and since the hybrid regeneration is not as strong as say a Prius or a Fit or Aqua or whatever, you use the brakes more. So thankfully the brake pads are quite cheap. I think the last time we changed the pads it was about 5,000 rupees or less.
Really?
Yeah, pads are cheap because they are basically fast wearing and cheap.
Oh, that's awesome.
And of course the air conditioning, like we mentioned, it's not the car's finest point, but otherwise those are the main things you have to watch out for.
Okay, that's interesting, Ashraaq. So if someone was to buy this car used, I think it's important to go through the service records and the maintenance records and see, whether these replacements have been done or not, as like a basic kind of observation, right? Before you.
Yeah, and make sure it's been done with proper, genuine Suzuki parts and that kind of thing. Now we have the file for this car so if we sell this car, we will give the file and it will have all the information there so people can see, okay, it's been serviced on time, it's got these parts put at this point, that kind of thing.
That's true.
So
I think
those are important things to check out for. And the belt tensioner thing, listen for a heavy sound kind of thing which comes at startup when the vehicle is cold and also under hard acceleration.
Right.
It's almost basically it's like a metallic grinding sound. You can't miss it. It's basically a sound that you shouldn't hear in a well running car. So to hear it, then that's
I think those are good facts for our viewers to know in case they are interested in a car like this, and especially if they're buying it used or they are the first owner and they can probably expect a repair like that, and you need to be safe, etc., and you need to also be cautious about what could go wrong as well, right, Ashraaq?
Exactly. And another thing I should point out is when buying a used car, especially Suzuki's like this, a lot of them will definitely have their mileage tempered simply because they've been used as taxis and that kind of thing. So always take it to a place like Car Checks or similar and get things verified that the mileage has not been tampered with. Now, this car 56,000 not tampered with because we have no interest in doing that. We are not unethical like that. So basically, this is the genuine mileage. But a lot of cars of this ilk will probably have their mileage tampered. So like I said, there are a few ways you can check. One is through the records. One is through the emission tests. And you can also take it to like a place like Car Checks or whatever, where they can actually plug a scanner into the ECU and see, okay, has this thing been mileage tampered with? I mean, one of my very close friends was telling me he bought a car from a family member, no less.
Oh my God.
A family member. And when he was going through the records, he noticed that yes, the mileage had been tampered simply because the records on the emission tests were suddenly rolled back by about 20,000 kilometers.
Wow.
So it was that family member was trying to sell the car, and my friend had offered to buy it because on the face of it was a good deal. So I mean, he could at least mention to him, okay, hey, I did this, so just be aware kind of thing. But that kind of thing just happens, sadly, Mahen.
That is very unethical, and I think people should stop doing things like that in general.
Yeah,
you
and
shouldn't deceive people.
Actually,
Right.
mileage tampering should be illegal, Mahen. It's
Yes.
not in Sri Lanka as far as I believe, but
Yes.
it should be illegal.
No, that is true.
I mean, I can think of only one instance where you would need to adjust the mileage on your car.
Yeah.
Because I had to do it for my N16 is when I changed the gauge cluster.
Yeah.
When you do that, then naturally you need the gauge cluster to show the correct mileage.
Yeah.
So that is the only instance when mileage tampering is okay because you're trying to rectify it, right? You're
Yes.
trying to make the new cluster show the correct mileage.
Yes.
But otherwise, there is no circumstance where it's ethical or should be legal.
That is true, Ashraaq. Any other points that we missed?
Well, other than that, I mean, not much. I think we have covered
Yeah,
it,
no, we
and
have
we'll be
like-
showing some of
yeah.
the practicality features as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And I think what we can consider is, Ashraaq, like especially if someone wants to buy a used car, especially for family purposes. Now I know a lot of friends who have a WagonR which they use for Colombo driving, and they use to transport their kids, go to work, all that, Ashraaq. So with that, I mean the practical side of this car, I think is also something that is really beneficial, and then it's also a unique selling point for this car, I believe. And
definitely, I mean, it's a
space.
perfect, second car, city runner, that kind of thing. But as we have proven, it can also take you around Sri Lanka with no fuss as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those are the strengths of the WagonR. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think it's probably why my wife chose it also. I mean, she said she liked the look of it and she wanted small cars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you want to go racing, this is not the car to buy, though, right? Like you need to be
Nah.
able to understand what your car is and what it's meant to do, and then you need to evaluate it based on that, Ashraaq. You
Exactly, I
can't
mean,
compare
if you-
this, for example, to your N16, right? I mean, it's a different kind of league,
Different
different
kind of
category, all that, right? So
I
you
mean,
need
this
to-
car is quite nippy. I mean,
Yeah.
I have slid it around corners and even got one of the back tires to lift in there, stuff like that.
Oh.
But, when she wasn't there, but
Yeah.
still.
It's
I
not
mean,
meant to drive like that.
it's not meant to drive
Yeah,
like that. It's
but
not
you-
a sports car or racing
Yeah.
car or anything. It's basically a, and I think what sums it up perfectly is that the R in WagonR stands for recreation. So
Oh,
yeah,
really?
this is a car for recreation.
Nice. So I think we're good.
Yeah, I think we are good to
Yeah,
go.
so
Huge
we-
thank you to my wife
Yeah.
Zara for
Thanks, Zara.
spending a Saturday morning with us, two car nuts.
Yeah, and a very calm Rahil also in the back. Thanks,
Yeah,
Rahil.
he's
My
really
gosh.
good, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I should also mention. I mean, I guess I can mention it on camera since most of my friends now know about it. I mean, we are expecting another kid, and that brings another point in that the WagonR may not be enough because I mean, for one kid, this car is fine. We go to
Yes.
Candy in it with Rai, with all our luggage, all that stuff, and I don't pack light, mine. I take, if I'm going for 3 days, I take clothes for 6 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm that
Same.
kind of person.
Same.
You too? Oh,
Yeah.
nice. See, another heavy packer, Zara. So yeah, in that sense, when a second kid comes along, things are going to get a little tighter. So yeah, hopefully when the car market and things even out, and when we are a bit more in a better financial situation
Yeah.
to change the car, we probably will change the
Yeah.
car. But for now, I mean, this has been the most economical commuter for us.
That's awesome.
So have a very happy 2025, all of you. Drive safe. We've done some really cool videos. I think you all would have seen my hand getting told off by Dr. Sudeth for fumbling around his Verada after having a few shots. You'll also see a video of me not wearing my seat belt and trying to drive off to go and see the girl down the lane.
Zara didn't hear that.
Spoiler alert, that girl down the lane was actually living in Timigasa when I was living at Park Road. I was quoting her in my N16 and I'm now married to her.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Anyway, guys, have a good one. We will catch you soon, and if you like the content, please do like, share, and subscribe.
Yes.
We'll catch you soon on Rev Match.
Take care.